part 2 also probably.
Okay.
I mean, depending on the interest of the devotees, because it has a lot of details.
Yeah.
You would like to understand deeply. Okay. Okay, I think so. We are connected on Facebook now. Okay. Okay. You'd like to start, Aritra?
Okay, so we are back again with His Grace Prema Rāsa Prabhu, and who is going to be enlightening us on a very important topic, which is understanding the Tattva of Krishna's Lilas. So God's pastimes, the Lord's Lilas are way deeper than what meets the eye. So this is something that we all need to understand in order to be able to fully appreciate the Lord's glories. But a little bit of introduction, which we have given many times, and each time we give, we feel that that's not enough. But Prabhuji he's been practicing Bhakti Yoga for over a decade now, right? Easily over a decade, like 12 or 13 years now, if I'm not wrong. And he has an illustrious background academically, as well as being a successful businessman. So he went to the prestigious University of Florida, which is in Gainesville, United States. And he has a master's in aerospace engineering from there. And later on, he went back to his home country, India, and began his own business, his own enterprise, which he is very good at. Along with that, he has cultivated several people, including us here on this call, in the tenets of bhakti, and inspired many people to be able to dedicate their lives to for the service of the Lord and for the service of Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya of ISKCON. And he has the distinction of being among the world's top book distributors for a run of 3 years. And he did that distributing Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the crest jewel of Vedic knowledge, and which is a really voluminous set. So that's kudos to him and his determination to serve the society and the mission of Lord Chaitanya by disseminating the knowledge that will really help one become free from the problems, the problems of life, which is birth, old age, disease, and death, the primal problems. So with that, we will hand it over to His Grace Prema Rāsa Dāsa Prabhu to enlighten us on understanding the Tattva of Lord Krishna's pastimes or Lilas. Over to you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Aritra, and all the devotees who have joined. So Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshudum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. So this is a very important topic, especially for people who are not aware of Krishna's intentions and his motivations, why he does certain pastimes. And in fact, many people feel that Krishna performs controversial pastimes and they do not know the reason behind the pastimes of Krishna. So we'll see that in the previous incarnations, only Lord Ramchandra actually enacted pastimes elaborately, whereas Narsimhadev appeared for a brief period of time. And then similarly, Vamandev also, and all the incarnations of the Lord. So we'll see that when we consider the pastime of the Lord, right from his birth to the moment he disappears from this world, which is basically the Komar Lila, the Padanga Lila, and the Keshor Lila. So these have been performed only by Lord Ramchandra and by Krishna. And Lord Ramchandra actually was kind of bounded because the main reason he actually incarnated is to establish the principle of Maryada. That's why he was called the Maryada Purushottam. But Krishna, when he came, so he actually wanted to demonstrate many things and establish why he is actually known as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll be discussing about the controversial nature of Krishna's pastimes and the intentions of the Lord, why he does a particular pastime, which may seem unethical. Okay, so we'll try to understand and even for the devotees also, there are so many details, there's so much depth in Krishna's pastimes that it is not possible to understand Krishna's pastimes completely. So that also the devotees will understand. Okay, so beginning with the Tattva of Krishna, this is very important to understand, very important to know, because this is connected to Sambandh Gyan of the Lord. And especially Tattva Gyan is required because Krishna himself claims in the Bhagavad Gita. Well, before talking about the Tattva, Krishna actually incarnates, and that is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Yada Yada Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata, which is Bhagavad Gita 4.7. And then immediately after one verse, it mentions about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yogeti takpada tattva deham punarjanma neti madmiti so Arjuna. So one who understands the nature of my transcendental, nature of my appearance and disappearance from this world and my activities, which are all transcendental, has actually understood me and he will come back to me. Neti madmiti so Arjuna. Okay. So it's extremely important to actually understand what is this tattva that Krishna is talking about. Otherwise, it will be difficult for someone to actually attain the Lord in this life. So we need to understand the tattva, the siddhant behind which the Lord is performing the pastimes. When we understand the siddhant, then we can actually appreciate the Lord's pastimes more and more. And we will also become very grateful that the Lord is actually appearing in this world. We will we'll start deeply appreciating the pastimes of the Lord if we understand the tattva, the siddhant. Okay. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita 9.11, there is also another verse which says that Avajananti Mahabudham, Manusham Tanum Ashritam, which means Krishna says that fools deride me when I appear and they consider my body to be a human body or material body. Okay. Because actually Krishna's body is transcendental. Satchidananda Vigraha Swarup. He has a body which is full of eternity, bliss and knowledge. Okay, so that's how he is actually called as Satchidananda Vigraha Swarup. And that's why Krishna is saying that this body of mine is transcendental. It is not material. And what do you mean by material and transcendental? Transcendental is a concept which is actually beyond the modes of material nature, beyond the material world. And the modes of material nature do not influence the transcendental concept. So it is beyond that. So when we talk about material body, we know that the material body is made up of gross body, it is made of subtle body, and then there is an Atma inside the two coverings of the soul. So the Atma is the soul, and then we also know that there is a Paramatma, which is right near the Atma, and who is actually directing the wanderings of the living entities from one birth to another birth. So the Paramatma is basically the incarnation or the expansion or the avatar of the Avatari. The Avatari is Krishna, and the Paramatma is actually the incarnation of Krishna. And Atma is the consciousness. So every living entity is conscious, right? We know that once the body is gone, especially the gross body, the external form of the body is gone, then we think that the person has gone away, he has passed away, he has died. But actually, uh, the consciousness is actually the most important element of a person. And that consciousness will keep taking births, keep creating different bodies according to its karma. So for the material living entity, for the conditioned souls in this world, the body and the soul, they are different. The gross body, there is the gross body, which is made up of the 5 material elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then there is a subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence, ego. And then beyond that, there is the soul, right? So the soul, because of the soul, the body is alive, and it is actually pervading the consciousness throughout the body. So this is actually the nature of Atma. And Atma itself, actually, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that Mama Vayam se Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manashastrani Prakarvistani Karsati. That the Atma is actually eternally fragmental part and parcel of mind. Okay. So Atma is also eternal. It is not temporary. It is not subjected to the modes of the material nature. And so similarly, Krishna's body is transcendental, which means that the body of the Supreme Lord, as we see from our eyes, material eyes or spiritual eyes, is not different from the soul of the Lord. There is no difference between the soul and the external form of the Lord. Whereas in our case, there is a difference between the external form of the Lord, external form of us, and the soul, right? This external form is going to die, and that will merge into material elements. It will pass, it will go away. It will be burned off. But Krishna's body is actually same as soul, right? So that's why Krishna's body is eternal. That is something which is most important to understand. So, and it is obvious because we are in the cycle of karma, right? So when we are in the cycle of karma, then we have to take repeated birth and death according to our consciousness, according to the karma that we perform in this world. And depending on that, we have to take bodies, different bodies. But Krishna's body, because is not different from the soul of Krishna, that's why his body is permanent and does not go any variation or change. So he has an eternal youthful body. Okay, this is something which we have to understand. The ultimate truth is the personal form of the Lord. The ultimate reality is actually the personal form of the Lord. It is not the Brahman aspect of the Lord. So it is the personal form of the Lord. That is very clear from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures also from the Upanishads. Okay. So now the question is that why Krishna is performing all such bewildering pastimes, Lilas. And obviously the reason is that he wants to demonstrate, or he wants to display that he is a supreme personality of Godhead, and that is beyond the rules and regulations of this world. So Lord Ramchandra had a specific task, he had a specific duty to perform, and he wanted to establish the principle of Maryada Purushottam. So that's why Lord Ramchandra actually followed most of the rules and regulations. Okay, as a ideal king, we can call him as an ideal king. But Krishna actually wanted to prove that the Supreme Lord is not obliged, he's not under any control of anyone, or he's not subjected to the desires of the conditioned souls, or he's not influenced by the cycle of karma. He's beyond that. He wanted to demonstrate this principle. That's why he's performing certain activities which are beyond the so-called moral and immoral activities of this world. Because whatever God decides, that becomes moral. Whatever he sanctions, that becomes moral. And whatever he rejects, that becomes immoral. This is what he wanted to establish through his pastime. And obviously, Krishna also, he had Paritrana Sadhuna Vinashaya cha Dushratam Dharma Samstapnata Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. So in order to protect the devotees, in order to extend love with the devotees, to attract the conditioned souls in this world, because we cannot, we cannot, we are not able to perceive the Lord. So in order to connect ourselves with the Lord, he appears, he sends in incarnations, and he also will send his empowered representatives again and again. And especially in the form of Krishna, he is bestowing to us a superlative type of love, which no other incarnations can bestow to us. Okay. So, so to protect the devotees, to extend love with them, in order to give them Vraj Prem, Krishna personally appears. And then obviously the external reasons are that he is also establishing Dharma. All right. And then he's also destroying, or he's killing the demons. So whatever Krishna decides, whatever God decides, that becomes absolute truth. It becomes moral. This is what we have to understand. Now, the problem is that we try to understand Krishna through our limited senses and limited intelligence, and with our limited knowledge. So whatever we have heard from our ancestors, grandparents, parents, that is what we actually assume. That is what we think that, okay, it is true. And even if we try to understand Krishna or God through our own intelligence, even if we try to understand the Lord through the modes of scriptures, the problem is that the scriptures, they contradict themselves a lot. You'll see that the scripture is actually a vast ocean of knowledge, and you can go to one extreme and you can also go to another extreme, and both things can actually contradict each other. So how do you understand these things? Now, in order to understand the scripture, you require the guidance of a teacher. So just like in the material world, we are enrolling in the university. So why do we have to enroll in a university? And this is what we have discussed in our last talk show, I think, that what is the importance of, utmost importance of, or the benefit of being a part of an organization. So organization is like a university. It's accredited, and it is affiliated to the system, which is, basically the parampara. So that actually takes up directly to the Lord. It's a connection which goes directly to the Lord. So in that sense, everything is bona fide when we have a parampara, when we are connected to Guru, Sadhu, Shastras. Okay, and this is what is recommended in the scriptures also. Scripture very explicitly states that without approaching a devotee or a guru, you cannot understand the scriptures. So if you want to understand scripture, you have to take the guidance of a guru. Okay, now when you take guidance of guru, then you actually begin to understand the nature of the Lord. Otherwise, it is very difficult to understand and digest, especially Krishna's activities, because Krishna has performed a lot of so-called immoral activities in this world. People blame Krishna for stealing butter, for dancing with other women, wives of so many people. Illicit activity, engaging in illicit activity, and then also using this politics, diplomacy in the battle of Kurukshetra, and misleading and trying to ignite war, which could have been avoided. People believe like that. People think like that Krishna could have easily avoided the war, and he is responsible for it, and so on and so forth. But because people, they don't have that proper Tattva Gyan, that's why they are confused, they are misled, and because they are not taking shelter of Guru, they are not taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master who is coming in a parampara. So even like you may also have a guru probably, but what is the best way is basically to take shelter of a guru who is in a bona fide parampara, a bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya, which is described in the scripture also, right? So through that medium, we can actually start understanding and appreciating Krishna's pastimes. So Krishna also himself, he mentions the Bhagavad Gita that ye athamam prapadante tam satai bhajamiham, Bhagavad Gita 4.11, where Krishna is basically saying that the degree that you surrender to me, to that degree I reveal myself. So basically, if you want to understand God and if you want to see God and to appreciate his qualities and pastimes, then you need to surrender to him. And to that degree only the Lord will actually reveal himself to us. Otherwise, he will actually put a curtain between us. Between us and between like Lord. So, and then Krishna also very explicitly states in the Bhagavad Gita as well as Bhagavatam that Bhaktya mam avijanati yavan yascha apni tattvata tato mam tattvato gyatva vishade tad anantaram. So 18.55 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one can know me in truth only by devotional service, by rendering devotional service to me. So Bhaktya mam abhijanati, there is no other way. And Srimad Bhagavatam also, Krishna says that he can be known only through bhakti or devotional service. There is no other way. So basically, and so what is the meaning of bhakti? Bhakti is actually manifested in the form of taking shelter of Guru Sadhu Shastra. That's how actually we basically keep understanding Krishna more and more. And actually that's a confirmation because, and see, even if we try to understand Krishna in our own way, what is the confirmation? That what the way we are understanding the Lord is actually the truth or the reality, right? So there has to be some kind of confirmation. We may follow our own path, we may have our own standard, we may have our own goal and everything, but whether we are going the right direction has to be scrutinized, and there should be someone who is able to tell us where we are leading, right? So this is a common principle for everything that you do in this world. Okay, so now there are some examples from Krishna's pastime I would like to share. Obviously, the most popular is the Rasa pastime, which is misunderstood by a lot of people. And then there is the Mosa Lila of Krishna. Now, this is a very interesting pastime. So, Mosa Lila is basically the pastime of Krishna disappearing from this world. And people think that Krishna actually was killed by a hunter. And Krishna, he left his body in one of the provinces in Gujarat. I don't exactly remember the name of that place, but so Krishna was sitting with his leg crossed, and then the hunter actually came and shot Krishna by mistake on the feet, and then Krishna died. So this type of concept is actually not valid. It is not bona fide because Krishna cannot die. Krishna just, he's like the sun, so he can just appear and disappear. And we are like, we are basically trying to see the sun when there are clouds in front of the sun. So we cannot see the sun because there are clouds in between. And similarly, there is cloud of ignorance because we are in ignorance. That's why we cannot see the Lord. So that cloud has to be dissipated through the guidance and the eyes of Guru Sadhu Shastra. So basically in Mosa Lila, what happened? Apparently Krishna actually, he engaged himself, he and Lord Balram both engaged themselves in fighting a war with their own intimate servants and relatives, the Yadus. And basically what happened is the Yadus, they were trying to play a prank on Narad Muni, and because of that Narad Muni got offended and he cursed them that there will be a lump of iron which will be the reason for the destruction of the entire Yadus. And this lump of iron, why he cursed like this? Because I think the Yadus were making a show of pregnancy. They were trying to enlarge their belly, and they were trying to hide from Narad Muni. And actually they had a iron clump inside the somehow they had hidden that iron clump. That's how the belly seemed to be enlarged. But Narad Muni actually could understand that they are making fun of. Like indirectly they are kind of playing a prank on him. So he got angry and then he cursed them. Now you may be wondering that how Narad Muni actually got offended so much that he cursed the entire Yadu dynasty. And he knew that Krishna is actually he's one of the Yadus in that dynasty. And all these Yadus, they are most intimate servants of Krishna. So how could Narad Muni, is actually the most exalted devotee of the Lord, curse the Lord himself? Now, a curse to the Yadus is actually a curse indirectly to Krishna, right? And Narad Muni knew that completely. So how did this happen? Why? What was the reason? And so unless and until we take the shelter of the eyes of the acharyas, we cannot understand this bewildering pastime of the Lord, where Lord Krishna and Balram, they are both, they actually picked up sticks and they started hitting all the yadus, and they had a internal war, and they all killed each other. So obviously Krishna and Balram, they were alive in that war, but they killed all the yadus. And later on, we know that how Balram actually disappeared because he wanted to leave this world, and then Krishna was shot by the hunter. So it seems that these external activities of Krishna and Balram, they are ordinary activities, and they were influenced by the curse, and obviously we also know that not just the curse of Narad Muni, but even the curse of Gandhari on Krishna. So both of that had effect on the passing away of Krishna. But what actually happened is Krishna decided to leave this world. He knew that I'm going to soon leave this world, and I will be going to my eternal abode, Goloka. So he orchestrated this entire pastime in order to bewilder the conditioned souls of Kali Yuga. This entire pastime was, so this is the external reason what happened. It seemed that Krishna also got destroyed because of the curse. It seemed that the entire Yadus got destroyed because of the curse. And so the result of that is people, they start losing faith in Krishna. Okay. Anyways, in Kali Yuga, people, they have, extremely low intelligence, and they are degraded. So it's very easy to bewilder the conditioned souls of Kali Yuga. And in order for Kali Yuga to start, the Lord actually orchestrated a pastime where, from an external point of view, it seemed that the Lord was actually affected by all these circumstances, and he was an ordinary living being. Okay, so basically, in order to bewilder the atheistic class of people, in order to bewilder the people of Kali Yuga, the Lord actually demonstrated this pastime. Whereas the internal reason is that the Lord actually wanted to take away, he wanted to separate the demigod portions of the demigods who are actually merged in the body of the Yadus. Now the Yadus, they are eternal associates of Krishna. Just like I was explaining about the transcendental body of Krishna, similarly, the devotees of Krishna, especially the Yadus, they are also residing in Goloka. They are eternal associate of Lord. So when the Lord is descending into this world, the Yadus also come with him. And the Yadus, being an eternal associate of the Lord, when they come, the demigods also, they desire to serve the Lord and assist in his pastimes. So what happens is that the demigods, they actually merge in the body of these Yadus who are descending from Goloka. Okay, and after Krishna's pastimes are finished in this material world, the demigods, they will go back to their respective position in the Swargloka. They will continue their service. If they become pure devotee of Krishna, then they go to Krishna. Else they will actually come to the material world again. They will continue. Obviously, they can practice and they can continue their practice of bhakti because of their intimate association with the Yadus and Krishna. But if they have not perfected, then they have to continue for a few lifetimes, and then they will go back to the Supreme Lord's abode. So here we see that the entire pastime was orchestrated for two reasons: internal reason and external reason. Basically, the Lord wanted to separate the demigod portion from the Yadus and take away all the Yadus with him back to Godhead, to his abode in Golok Vrindavan. And externally, for the ordinary people, ordinary living entity, he wanted to demonstrate that in Kali Yuga, you have to pay the price. If you want to believe in the Lord, then you have to pay the price. It's not so easy to have faith in the Lord in Kali Yuga. And so the atheistic people and those who are demons, demoniac in nature, they always have a desire to actually offend the Lord, to compete with the Lord, and to kill the Lord, right? So all these desires were fulfilled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that the living entities in Kali Yuga can fulfill their desires. Okay, so see, now it's very, and so one of the acharyas, he mentions, Vishwanath Thakur, he mentions that the entire pastime was actually an illusory. It was it actually did not happen. It never happened. It only happened in front of those who were atheistic and demoniac in nature. Whereas for the devotees in general, it actually never happened. So it was kind of a dream. Okay, it actually never happened. The entire pastime was illusion which was created for the demons. Okay, so because it is obvious the Lord cannot do any harm to his own relatives who are very intimate servants, right? This is not possible. So this is actually clearly established by our acharyas. So this is how we actually understand the Musa Lila of the Lord, how he passed away from this world, he disappeared. And actually the Lord never disappears. There are many concepts. That's why we have this special class about the Tattva. Then we will actually understand that there is the Prakat Lila of the Lord, there is the Aprakat Lila of the Lord, the manifested Lilas of the Lord, and the unmanifested Lila of the Lord. So basically what happens is when we say that the Lord disappeared, he left this world, it basically means that earlier ordinary conditioned souls they were able to perceive the Lord, they were able to see the Lord directly, but the Lord disappeared from their vision. Okay, so he only disappeared from the vision of the ordinary conditioned souls, but he always was visible to his pure devotees, those who are in the Dham, those who are his pure devotees. The Lord is always visible, and it is also said that the Lord is always present in the Dham. He is eternally present in Vrindavan Dham. And obviously there are different types of dhams that we also will discuss in detail. So this is about the Musa Lila, and similarly in the Ras Lila also. Actually, in the Ras Lila, although people blame Krishna for having illicit relationship with the wives of other gopas, but in reality, these women, so there are two answers to this. First of all, actually, when the Brahma Vimohan Lila happened, that time, if you remember, Krishna expanded in all these Vishnu forms, right? He was actually, all these coward boys, they were Krishna himself. So during that period, all the gopas, all the elderly gopas, they decided that we'll get our daughters married to all these gopas. So actually, in reality, all these gopis, they got married to Krishna. Okay, and that's how actually Krishna was officially also the husband of all these gopis. Although in the pastime, it seems that because we know that after 1 year, all these coward boys, the Vishnu form, the Krishna form, they all were temporarily manifested and they disappeared. And the original coward boys, they came and they took over, right? So during that period, Krishna got married. Actually, it was Krishna who got married to all these gopis. That's first thing. Second thing is that after the gopis got married, and they were living with their husbands, whoever they may be, they may be the expansion. Now another reason is that these coward boys, actually they were expansions of Krishna. Like for example, Abhimanyu is actually the well-known husband of Srimati Radharani, is actually an expansion of Krishna. He is the shadow of Krishna. And so similarly, the other gopas, they are also expansions of Krishna. So ultimately, it makes no sense to say that they had an illicit relationship. Okay, externally, in order to have flavor in the pastime, it is shown that Krishna was having illicit relationship, parama relationship, but in reality, these were the reasons. And third is that Vishwanath Thakur, he explains, the gopis' bodies were duplicated, okay, and Yogmaya, and this was the working of Yogmaya. So Yogmaya is actually one of Krishna's energy, and Yogmaya is assisting the Lord in his pastimes. So Yogmaya created duplicates of the original gopis. So the original gopis, when Krishna called them for the Ras Lila, the original gopis went to Krishna, and the duplicates or the replicates, they actually stayed behind with their husbands. Okay, and so when and obviously Yogmaya did not manifest the duplicated forms of the gopis continuously. Whenever the gopis came back from Ras Lila, all these replicated forms, they disappeared. Okay, and the gopis again, they had some connection with their husband, but they had connection from a distance. It is mentioned that the gopas could not even touch these gopis. Okay, because the gopis were completely sold out to Krishna. So see, these are all various reasons how we can understand that the pastimes of Lord are perfect, and they are just demonstrated to in order to enhance, facilitate, and increase our love for him. Okay. So till now, any comment or question? We have any devotees? They have any question?
So I have one question about Krishna enacting some Lilas which have a superficial meaning, okay, for atheistic people to delude them, because like in Kali Yuga, as you said, like in Kali Yuga, that is he wanted to establish that it's difficult for people to have remembrance of him or have faith in him. But there are also a lot of pious people, they may not be devotees of Krishna, but at least we see that they lead pious lives. They have inclination towards maybe demigod worship, but still they have some spiritual inclination. Even they do not understand, or even they have no inkling about the deeper aspect of Krishna's Lilas. So it's not just like the grossly atheistic, but also people in general, innocently, they just don't know. Maybe they have acted in ways that disqualifies them. But it's not like only atheists who are having this misconception. So why would the Lord make it so exclusive, not reveal to even those people who are apparently innocent, not hardcore atheists? Do you have any thoughts to share?
Okay, so Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Neha Bikramina Osastin Pagdavayuna Vidyate Swalpamapu Yasa Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. So Krishna says that whatever devotion that you have performed, it will always continue. It won't go bankrupt, right? Even though we change the body and we take different births, but still our devotion to the Lord will continue, and Krishna will protect that. That's why Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Name Bhaktya Pranishyati. So what does not get destroyed for a devotee is actually the devotional service. Now, obviously, all the devotees of the Lord, they have passed away from the material world. The gross body has been destroyed. Even though the Lord can protect the body, but in order to maintain the etiquette of this material world, it does not happen. Okay, so the external form of the devotee may go away, but the devotion always maintained. And that's why Krishna has also maintained and protected the devotion of the devotees in Kali Yuga. And obviously in Kali Yuga, there is, although in spite of all these great problems, there is a special benediction, which is Harinam Sankirtan. Just simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can actually attain the Lord. Right? So this is a great benediction, which is not available in any other previous yugas. So the more the living entities are degraded, the more special mercy is given to them because of their conditioning. But right, so if you are really devoted to the Lord, if you are sincere, then Krishna will actually direct you to the Vaishnava Acharyas, to the Guru, and then through the Guru and Parampara, the knowledge will be revealed to you, and you will be able to take shelter of the Lord, in spite of being in Kali Yuga.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, because that's the situation that we have also been in. We have heard, so we watched growing Mahabharata, and in Mahabharata we saw these things, but it was entertainment. We didn't really understand it deeply, but now we are having this opportunity.
Yeah, so see, one thing is also there, that Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavam Mam Prapadante Vasudevam Sarvamitim Samatma Sudurlabh. And then Manushanam Sahasreshu Kashtit Yatadi Siddhaya Yatadam Api Siddhanam Kashtit Mam Yadi Tattvata. Said, it is clearly said that those Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many births, thousands of births, one will actually try to understand Vasudev. Jnana man vam prapadante. I mean, like out of thousands of jnanis, there is one who can actually become realized, and then out of those thousands of self-realized devotees, one can actually become a devotee of the Lord, and out of those thousands of devotees, one can actually attain the Lord. And Manushyaram Sahasresu Kashti Siddhaya, that out of thousands among men, one who is practicing the Lord, devotional service of the Lord, is also very rare. So that is true. devotional service and bhakti is actually very rare. Only rare souls can attain that. And but because of the special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has descended after the appearance of Krishna, this mercy, this rareness has been made, has been transformed into a very general form, rather than being something which is rarely obtained, it is very generally obtained now. So that's why we should take advantage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's benediction in Kali Yuga, especially after Krishna appears, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. Yeah, and another point I wanted to convey is that, see, it's very interesting. Vishwanath Thakur mentioned this point, that you'll see that during the disappearance of Lord Ramchandra, all the Vaikuntha Ayodhya Vasis, they actually saw, they witnessed directly that Lord Ramchandra, along with his associates, is going back to Ayodhya in the spiritual world. Right? They saw that, and that's how their conviction and faith in the Lord increased. Okay. And Krishna did exactly the opposite. He actually wanted to bewilder, because it was time for Kali Yuga. So if you want to maintain a population of devotees, obviously, then the Lord will show them the reality, his real form. But if if the living entities that don't desire the Lord in Kali Yuga, and we know that 3/4 of dharma is destroyed in Kali Yuga, 3/4 of the population is actually not spiritual. They are all karmis, they are all demons to some extent. So that's why, because of the desire of the living entities, the Lord does not manifest himself at the end of Kali Yuga, at the end of Dwapar Yuga. So he's kind of, so see, it's very simple. I mean, you cannot blame the Lord for it. It's basically, yatamam prapadante. As you surrender, the Lord will reveal according to you. So and as you were mentioning about the devotees, so the devotees are always protected by the Lord. So in spite of whichever yuga they are in, the Lord will protect their devotion, and they will keep realizing Krishna or the Lord more and more, like that.
Yeah, reciprocation, that makes sense. Like, so if you're grossly atheist, someone grossly atheist, the Lord will just not let them, let them have any faith, because that's what they want. But for pious people, they will enjoy these stories, just like many people do. But someone who is like willing to surrender to the Lord will open up, like what is inside. The inside matter will be exposed. Yeah, that makes very logical. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So even if you consider the population of pious people in Kali Yuga, I would say that even pious people, they are not able to understand the Lord clearly. In fact, most of the pious people, they are Mayavadis, right? So in one sense, they don't have faith in the eternal abode of the Lord. They doubt the existence of the Lord. Externally, people are worshipping the Lord. They are worshipping the demigods, but they lack faith. They don't know, and they cannot discriminate also. They don't know who is supreme. They don't know what is the definition of God. So in one sense, everyone is, even external covering may be there, but internally what is happening, the tendencies are more like that of atheistic people, and as well as Mayavadi people. It's a mixture of them. So that's why in Kali Yuga, it is not so easy to attain the Lord. Only rare souls will actually attain the Lord.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So any other question? Okay. So now we, once we have established the fact that the Lord is a person, and we are talking about his personality because he's performing pastimes which are bewildering. And when we talk about his pastimes, we have to also consider the fact that the potency of the Lord is actually playing a role in it. So without Shakti, so there are two aspects, Shaktiman and Shakti of the Lord. So without Shakti, there is no possibility of any kind of loving exchange or pastimes of the Lord. So Shakti is an inherent quality of the Lord. Without Shakti, the Lord becomes impersonal. So basically, what we are seeing externally when the Lord is displaying his pastimes is actually employing his various Shaktis. So what is the living entity? The living entity is actually eternal fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, Jeev Tattva, or the Jeev Shakti, or the marginal potency of the Lord. Okay, Tathastha Shakti. And then the Lord and his associates, they belong to the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord, internal potency of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also part of the internal potency of the Lord, expansion of Lord Balram, right? And then the knowledge which is coming from, because when you exchange love, you must have knowledge also. You must have knowledge about the person, what the person looks like, where does he live, and then what are his activities, what does he eat, how much he sleeps, where he sleeps, where he goes for playing and all that. So all this information is actually knowledge aspect, which is actually under the control of Yog Maya. Now Yog Maya is one of the Shaktis of the Lord. And we know that the Shaktis, the Chit Shakti of the Lord consists of three categories. One is the Sandhini potency of the Lord, other is the Samvit potency, and then other is the third one is the Antaranga, the Ladini Shakti of the Lord. So we'll see that how these Shaktis are actually employed in the service of Lord when the Lord is performing pastimes. And in order for the pastimes to be complete, the Lord is engaging his Yog Maya potency, Mahamaya potency, Lila Shakti of the Lord, Ichha Sankalp Shakti of the Lord, Kripa Shakti of the Lord, and then Achinta Shakti of the Lord. And what happens is actually there is a transcendental competition between all these Shaktis of the Lord. Now we have to understand one thing, that when we say there is a transcendental competition between one Shakti over another Shakti, what we are saying is that these Shaktis are also personalities. Like for example, Lila Shakti or Kripa Shakti, these are all personalities, and they are having some kind of competition in order to enhance the pastime of the Lord. So it is mentioned that during the Damodar pastime of the Lord, ultimately the Kripa Shakti became prominent, and that's why Krishna felt very merciful towards Yashoda Maya, and then he was willing to get bounded by her, right? So Kripa Shakti became prominent, and so similarly there are the Kriya Shakti of the Lord, the Bal Shakti of the Lord, and different Shaktis of the Lord are engaged, and depending on the prominence of a particular Shakti, that pastime will be manifested. So this is very important to understand that the Shakti is actually inherent quality of the Lord, and without the Shakti, the Lord will become impersonal. Okay, and then we have the associates of the Lord. So the Tattva, we should also understand the Tattva of the associates of the Lord. Now we know that Krishna is actually he is Vishnu Tattva, he is in the category of Ishwar Tattva, and then his fragmental part and parcel, which are infinitesimally small, they belong to the Tathastha energy, and the material nature belongs to the external potency of the Lord, which is the Bahiranga Shakti of the Lord. Okay, and then there is the Antaranga Shakti. Now, what is the difference between Tathastha, Antaranga, and Bahiranga? Although these are all energies which are emanating, manifesting from the Lord, but Bahiranga Shakti is the Shakti which is actually not in touch with the Lord, not in connection with the Lord directly. Whereas Antaranga Shakti is his own Swarupa, is his manifestation of his own internal energy, his own Swarup, which means it is always connected with him, okay, and has a direct role to play. So the associates of the Lord, they belong to the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord. So and the Jeev Tattva, the conditioned souls that they are in the material world, they are belonging to the category of Tathastha, which means they have a choice either to go to the material world or go to the spiritual world. They are the borderline. Tathastha means borderline. Just like, we have a small portion of land on the beach, which is sometimes occupied by water, sometimes occupied by the land, right? So that is Tathastha. So a living entity who has a choice to go either way is called Tathastha Shakti of the Lord. And then Antaranga Shakti, as we know that the associates of the Lord, they are actually non-different from the Lord and directly connected to the Lord. That's why they are actually called as Antaranga Shakti, which is internal potency. And obviously now the conditioned souls, the sadhakas, generally the conditioned soul refer to the sadhakas, and sadhakas are the one who are actually bounded in this material world, and they would like to perform sadhana in such a way that they would like to attain the abode of the Lord and go back to him. That's why they are called as sadhakas. So the sadhakas, they are the Jeev Tattva, Whereas the associates of the Lord, when we talk about the Antaranga associates, so we speak about the energies, internal potency of the Lord, and that potency includes Srimati Radharani, and then Yashoda Maya, Nand Maharaj, Subal, Tridama, so many other devotees. Lord Balram is also the direct expansion, first expansion of Lord Krishna. Okay, so now see these expansions of the Lord. These are the Shaktis of the Lord, and they expand. Okay, they have the nature of expanding. So when the Lord is actually descending from Goloka to Ayodhya, and from Ayodhya to Vaikunta, from Vaikunta to the heavenly planetary system, and from there to the earthly planetary system, then all these associates of the Lord from Goloka, they will also expand. They will also come down with the Lord. So just like the Lord is able to unlimitedly expand himself, similarly, by the special potency of the Lord, by the empowerment of the Lord, the jivas, the Antaranga Shaktis, can also expand themselves in this different ways. And one, so like for example, Nanda and Yashoda or Vasudev Devki, so these are the eternal associates, parents of Lord in Goloka. And when the Lord is present in Ayodhya, then he takes the, these Vasudev Devki, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, they take the form of Dasrath and Kaushalya. Okay. And in Vaikunta, they take the form of Prishni and Sutab, like that. Okay. So these are the expansions, and these devotees also have that quality of expanding themselves, depending on the nature of the Lord's pastimes. They expand themselves, and they can also expand if Krishna is present in all the universes. Similarly, all the devotees can also be present in all of these universes just to assist the Lord. Okay, so this is a brief information about the tattva of the associates of the Lord and the abilities of them to expand. Okay, now it is very interesting to know. Okay, so I forgot to mention about the three types of potency: the Sandhini Shakti, the Samvit Shakti, and the Ladini Shakti. So you must have heard about the term Satchid Ananda, right? It is widely described in the Shastra, Satchid Ananda. So Sach, which means truth, or it can also refer to eternity, refers to the Sandhini potency of the Lord. So Sandhini is a potency which is the cause of existence of everyone and the existence of the abode of the Lord. So whatever is existing for the pleasure of Lord is because of the Sandhini potency of the Lord, which is presided by Lord Balram. The Balram is actually the one who is actually overseeing the Sandhini potency. Okay. And like for example, the paraphernalia of the Lord, the abode of the Lord, Ananta Shesh, who is actually sleeping bed for the Lord. Then the kartal, the mridang, the drums, the musical instruments, the ornaments, the bedding, the mukut, everything which is the paraphernalia of the Lord is all expansion of Lord Balram. And he is assisting the Lord in his pastime by actually in being in charge of this Sandhini potency. So this Sandhini, because of this Sandhini potency, everything exists. Next comes the Samvit potency. Now why things are existing? That's a question mark. So okay, we know that we are existing. We know the material world is existing. We know the spiritual world exists. We know everything else is existing in the material world. So why it is existing? That's a question mark. And that's why, in order to provide that information, the purpose of the existence and the process to attain the goal is actually provided by the Samvit potency. Okay, knowledge acquiring potency, and which is presided by Yogmaya. So Yogmaya is actually the presiding deity of knowledge or Samvit potency. And the last one is, after attaining the goal, what are we going to experience? Right? See, we know that by constitutional position, by our nature, we are looking for happiness. We are looking for enjoyment in this world. So then that is the ultimate goal of each and every living entity. If it is eternal, then that should be the goal of each and every living entity, to be always in bliss. So obviously when we attain the goal, we should be blissful. And that bliss is actually provided by the Lalini Shakti of the Lord, which is presided by Srimati Radharani. Okay. So Satchit Ananda. Chit means which is connected with knowledge. So truth or eternity, knowledge and bliss. Ananda, bliss, is also connected to the Ladini potency of the Lord. So these are the three categories of the Antaranga Shaktis. And these are important for us to understand the pastimes of the Lord. So we'll understand now. Okay, now we have already spoken about the Antaranga Shakti, the associates, the Tattva of the associates of the Lord. And I would like to mention the three different types of devotees in Swarga. Okay, so then there are sadhakas in Swarga, or demigods are also, they are also inspired to perform bhakti devotional service, because they get the association of pure devotees like Narad Muni or some great sage who is visiting Swarga, or they are also hearing and they are also seeing the pastimes of the Lord. So from that they get inspiration and they would like to perform devotional service to the Lord. So there are three categories of demigods. Okay, one who actually follows in the footsteps of the associate of the Lord, also called as the Anugatis. Okay, then others, they are the Amshis of the original associates of the Lord. And the third one, who are actually who would like to follow their own way, follow their own path, and these are called the ones who do not have any Anugati. Okay, or they do not want to follow anyone. So these are the three different categories of devtas, and they take part in the pastimes of the Lord. So now, what is the meaning of Anugati? So Anugati means devta who is inspired to practice bhakti, and especially in the footsteps of the associates of the Lord. So they attain a position in the spiritual world, which is under the guidance of these associates of the Lord. Okay, like for example, we say Nanda Yashoda, they are the associates of Lord, and then whoever follows Nanda and Yashoda, they attain that kind of position in the spiritual world, assisting Nanda and Yashoda. So these are one category, Anugatis. Then Amshis basically means that when the eternal associate, they come down to this world, for example, again the example of Drona and Dhara, and then Prishni and Sutav, I think it is given that when Vasudev Devki and Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Maya, they come. So they are the Amshis of, so these personalities, Drona, Dhara and Prishni Sutav, they are Amshis of Nanda, Yashoda and Vasudev Devki respectively. So what is the meaning of that? Amshis are the ones who are actually the expansions of these associates. So for particular time being, they are playing some role. You know, they are separated as an expansion of the original associate. And when the role is over, when the pastime is over, then they merge back into the original associate, because these Amshis, they identify themselves as Nanda and Yashoda, as Devki and Vasudev. That's why they are actually considered to be the expansions of the associates of the Lord. Okay. So basically, after the pastime is over, they merge in the bodies of Nanda and Yashoda. Whereas in the earlier case, those who had Anugatis, they actually retain their personalities. They retain their identities in the spiritual world. They become the followers of Nanda and Yashoda. And in this case, they merge in the body of Nanda and Yashoda. And the third category of devotees in Swarga is those who do not practice Anugati. Okay, and so like, you know, there may be some devtas who want to retain their identity. They don't want to follow in the footsteps of the associates. So in the spiritual world, if they are pure enough, they go to spiritual world and they retain their identity as devtas. In the spiritual world also we are devtas. Okay, and but their seva is to just to serve the Lord in the capacity of being devtas, nothing more than that. So they do not become associate of the Lord as such. They are retaining their identity as devtas. Okay, so these are the three different categories of devotees in Swarga. So any comment or question, any clarification required?
Yeah, this is new information. This we did not know, and I have not read in Prabhupada's books actually, as yet.
No. Actually,
Can you?
Prabhupada has given, but it's just that we are not able to understand at that particular time. These things are there, especially Prabhupada quotes Srimad Bhagavatamrit, and Prabhupada has given these details in Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrit. It's just that we are not able to recognize that. So once we have once we start understanding certain things, and then we get to know, so like Sanatana Goswami has explained these things in Srimad Bhagavatamrit, and then there is also commentary by acharyas on this.
Okay. So do
In
you have
fact,
some examples?
actually, I would like to mention this point. If someone asks for evidence, then actually these things are given in the Puranas. Like for example, Brahma Vaid Puran, or the Padma Puran, or maybe Garud Puran, or some Puranas actually, they do speak about these things, which is not commonly or generally observed, when we are reading the scriptures. So that's why acharyas, they are the ones who are revealing these things to us by quoting the shastras.
Okay. So So you said that the first type of demigods are those who try to follow in the footsteps of one of the Nitya Siddhas, like the Lord's direct associates. So it's something like parallel to Raganuga, right? Like Raganuga bhakti in this material world, but we are not following the eternal associates. We are following those who are like the Vrajvasis, who are very close, intimate with Krishna. But so one question: the Vrajvasis that no, I think it's like Raganuga Bhakti only, right? We are also trying to follow in the footsteps of some eternal associate of the Lord. So that is what is called Anurakti for demigods.
Yeah.
Something like
Similar.
that. Okay. Is that an example you can give, like for the three categories? Like, for example, I'm curious to know what is Indra? Which category does he fall in?
Yeah. So, I see this like Dronadhara and Prishni Sutta, they identify themselves as Nanda and Yashoda. And in the category of those who do not follow Anugati, they are basically like Lakshmi Devi. Example of Lakshmi Devi is given. And although she is not like exactly a Devi or Devta in Svarga, she is the associate of the Lord. But in a similar way, they are the ones who do not. I mean, generally, like for example, Brahma and Shiva. Okay, so Vishwanath Thakur actually quotes. I think this is mentioned in the Ujjwal Nilamani commentary, that he says that it is very important for a devotee to be humble. The humility is actually a very important element of a devotee, and only those who have this anugati, the attitude of anugati, okay, they can actually enter the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Otherwise, those who are attached to their identities, they cannot attain the Lord in Vrindavan. And then he gives example of Brahma and Shiva. So he says that because they are kind of attached to their position as being the creator as well as the destroyer of the universe. That's why they are not able to enter or get an eternal form in Vrindavan. Okay. So now, so we have this, example of Brahma, and then there will be other examples also of Devtas. And then similarly, we have examples. Yeah. So now I recollect. So there are, yes, now I recollect. There are examples in Shastra. So we have the Rishichari gopis and the Munichari gopis. Then we have the associates of Lord Ramchandra. There were many ladies in the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra who actually wanted to establish a relationship with the Lord in a conjugal way. And so they actually attained the Lord in the form of Krishna. Okay. And there are the wives of the demigods who are attracted to the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis, and they would like to attain, or they would like to follow in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. And then there are some devatas who may be attracted to the pastimes of the gopas, like vice versa. Maybe it is possible like that. So these are examples given in the Shastra that they attained the body of a gopi in Vrindavan. Okay, because they followed in the footsteps of the gopis. Right? So the Muni and the Muni is in Lord Ramchandra's pastime, obviously we know. And the Shrutichari also, the Vedas, they actually attained the Gopi Bhav in Krishna Leela. They desired to attain Gopi Bhav in Krishna Leela, and they followed the footsteps of gopis and they attained that. So, so like that, there are many examples how one can actually become a follower of the associates of the Lord.
Okay. What about Indra? What kind of category does he fall in? He's the leader of all demigods, right?
Yeah. See, first of all, we have to understand one thing.
Well, Indra is a position. Yeah.
It's a post basically that we know. Okay. And there are 14 Manus. And each, the 14 Manus, 14 Manus in a day of Brahma. Okay. And it is also mentioned that with each Manu, there are different sets of demigods and different sets of Saptarshis. So the demigods, they are living only for the period of one Manu's duration. So, okay. So they are not living for eternity. They are not even living for Brahma's one lifetime. So in the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned when there is a description of the lineage, especially of the Manus. There, all these things are described. Who is going to attain the position of the Saptarshis and who is going to attain the position of the demigods. So it is not that Indra is, all the same Indra is there for the entire day of Brahma. So I think the span of Indra is only for one Manu period. Then there are 14 Manus. So they have 14 Indras like that, and 14 Saptarishis also. Okay. So now Indra is a post, as you know that. So that's why now see, the principle is very simple. Whether it be Indra, whether it be Brahma, whether it be any demigod, if they are attracted to the devotional service of Lord, they perform it purely. If they follow the footsteps of the associates, they have desire to attain Krishna in Vrindavan, and they follow the process, they will attain the Lord. If they cannot, if they are attached to their identity, then if they want to stay in the material world, they stay in the material world. Or they can attain Vishnu Vaikuntha. Okay, in Vaikuntha they can attain Vishnu. Or they can attain other forms of the Lord, depending on their attraction. So whichever particular person, whichever living entity is attracted to a particular form of the Lord, they will go back to that form. And obviously, provided they have to perform bhakti also. They have to follow the path and process prescribed for that particular avatar of the Lord. So that is for sure.
Okay. And then after the Anuraktas, you said there is one category who want to merge. Amshis. So they want to merge. So in the material world, in the lower planetary systems, that is equivalent to being impersonalist, who want to merge into the existence of the Lord, or is it different?
No.
Did you understand what?
No, I didn't understand. So what connection it has with the lower planetary system?
No, lower planet. What I was implying is that, like we here in the material world, there are, well, the Swarga is also material world, but like on this earthly planet, we say that there are people who want to merge into, become one with the Lord. So they are impersonalists.
No. So what I said is, there are certain devtas who think themselves as not different from Nanda, Yashoda, or Vasudeva and Devaki. For example, Dronadhara. Okay. Now what we need to understand is, actually these personalities Dronadhara. Okay, they are actually amshis of the associates of the Lord. Amshis means they are expansions of that associate. Right? So see,
Okay.
in the first case, the devatas, they are not expansions of these associates. They may merge in their bodies for a specific purpose, for a specific period of time. But after the pastime is over, after the Lord will disappear, they will go back to his abode. Then, as I said earlier, that there will be separation of the demigod portion and the associate of the Lord. So the demigods will retain their identity. Whereas in the second case, these devatas, they are amshis, or they are expansions of the associates. That's why they merge. So it is like their own part of the body, and like that. So right. So they are not different. To simplify things, we can say that they are not different actually. That's why they are merging back, and that's it. So it is, there is no concept of Mayavadism or impersonalism here. It's not that these are separate personalities and they decide to merge in Nanda and Yashoda. No, they are expansion. Like for example, when Krishna is coming to this world, then all the incarnations, Vaman, Narsimha, Kachap, Matsya, Kshirodakshay, Vishnu, they all enter into the body of Krishna. And then when Krishna goes back, Kshirodakshay Vishnu comes out and he takes his position in Svetadip, in the material world. Mahavishnu takes the position of, in the or Karunodakshay Vishnu in the Karuna ocean, like that. So they respectively take their positions because they are separate, identities also at the same time. Okay. So like that.
And the third category, once again, third category
is someone who does not follow the associates.
Okay, but they have love for the Lord, they have regard for the Lord, but they don't follow the associates.
They are attached to their identities. That's why Lakshmi could not. Lakshmi Devi, she was not willing to follow the footsteps of the gopis. She was not willing to imbibe the mood of the gopis, to imbibe the bhav of the gopis. And she was not able to assist the gopis. That's why she could not attain that. She could not enter the Raslila.
But you mentioned she's not a demigod, right? Or she's not a demigod.
Yeah, but still the example is given of that of Lakshmi, and then as I also quoted, Lord Shiva and then Brahma. So those who want to retain their identity, they will not go to
Goloka,
the spiritual world. Now again, Brahma is also, Brahma is also opposed, as we know that, right? Brahma is also opposed. So definitely now it is also mentioned in the Bhagavatam, if you remember, Prabhupada writes in Purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, that if Brahma perfects his life in his life, then he goes to Vaikuntha, or he will go to Goloka, depending on his bhav, where he wants to go. But if he does not perfect his life, then he has to come back again in the material world. So there are pure devotees, Brahmas. There are Brahmas who are pure devotees, and there are Brahmas who are not pure devotees, like that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So all right, it's already 10:30 now, and there is still a lot of information to be discussed. So we'll have another part of this. I would like to ask any other devotees, do you have any question?
Prabhuji, the Yadus we were talking about before, so they are also demigods. So will they also come in this category of the second category you mentioned, Amshis?
No. The Yadus are eternal associates of the Lord, which means that they are the Antaranga Shakti, part of Antaranga Shakti of the Lord. And then along with the Antaranga Shakti, we also have the Tatastha Shakti. And so basically, see what happens is the jiva, the living entity, when he performs sadhana and when he attains perfection, that is he attains prema, then he will go to the spiritual world, right? And but after going to the spiritual world, the jiva does not become antaranga shakti. He still remains tatastha shakti. What is the difference is that once you have bhava, at that time a portion of the Samvit Shakti and Ladini Shakti enters the heart. Okay. And then that is completely magnified at the stage of Prem. So you also have the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord. Although you are Tatastha, but you also contain the Antaranga Shakti. So in that sense, that's why Nitya Siddha devotees are Nitya Siddhas. Okay. And so some of the associates of the Lord, they are belonging to Antaranga Shakti. They are not different from the Lord. And some are Tatastha Shakti, but they are perfected beings. They are also Nitya Siddhas. Okay, so they also come down with the Lord. So that sense, Nitya Siddhas, they are of two categories, Antaranga Shakti category and Tatastha Shakti category.
That's an important question, Mataji. Yeah, that important clarification. I was thinking that, so that means so Prabhupada, will we say Prabhupada was the Lord Antaranga Shakti? We know that Prabhupada is Nitya Siddha. That's the information we get. But is he a part of,
So, okay. Now, what to speak of Prabhupada? Even, in fact, Prabhupada himself stated this in one of his letters, that apart from Rup and Raghunath, the all other four Goswamis, they were not Nitya Siddhas. So
I've read this,
the
in a letter.
The details about Prabhupada, we are not aware of that because neither Prabhupada revealed nor his followers, they will reveal such things. And it is not also important, not required also. But whatever you are, wherein you are in the category of Jeev Tattva or Antaranga, internal potency of the Lord, after being perfected, after the Jiva is perfected, then he becomes Nitya Siddha, which means that he becomes the same like the Antaranga bhaktas of the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, and I, you can say it because as I explained earlier, that the potency of the Samvit and Ladini Shakti, they both enter the heart. And Samvit and Ladini Shakti, they are actually the chit potency of the Lord. They are a category of Antaranga Shakti. So that's why, in one sense, it's a mixture of Antaranga and Tatastha, like that. Yeah. Yeah. So the Yadus are actually eternal associate of Lord. And now when we say that the Lord wanted to separate the demigods, so what happened? There are Devatas who are actually desiring to serve the Lord. Okay. Like if you remember, when Brahma is taking all the demigods with him, he's at the border of the Shiva Vishnu ocean. He's not able to enter, right? He's not able to see also. And then Brahma is praying for Shiva Vishnu to come and manifest, to take avatar so that he can kill all the demons, to establish dharma. So that time he hears a voice from within, and he conveys to the demigod that the Lord actually instructed me to, or conveyed to me that you all should take birth in Braj and assist in my pastimes. So there were Devatas who actually took birth in Vrindavan and who actually merged in the body of, obviously like Vrindavan, or you can say Mathura, Dwarka, and they merged in the respective bodies of these associates. And then when the pastime got over, the Yadus went back. They got separated from the demigod, separated from the bodies of the Yadus, and they went to back to Godhead. They actually went back to Swargaloka, like that.
Okay.
Similarly, it is also said about Bhishma Dev. He's also incarnation of because we know that he was one of the Vasus in the previous life, and he was cursed. That's why when he came as Bhishma, so he is actually he's eternal associate of Lord. So why how come he's eternal associate if he is one of the Vasus in the previous life? So it is mentioned that there is a demigod Vasu. So when Bhishma came from the spiritual world, this Vasu, the demigod, actually merged in the body of Bhishma. And after Bhishma Dev left his body, Bhishma went to the spiritual world. This Vasu went back to Swargloka.
Mm.
So very interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. This thing was not. I've heard of it, but it was not very clear. Especially the three types of demigods.
Yeah, yeah.
By their desire. Okay. Yeah, that was something new.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know
Similarly,
Drona and Dara,
similarly, we
they
have
were
the example
demigods.
of Uddhav also.
Hmm.
Uddhav also we have, right? Uddhav is also one of the Vasus actually. But Uddhav is also eternal associate of Lord. So
Hmm.
basically, these things are reconciled.
So what about Arjuna? The Pandavas, say
Yeah,
Arjuna.
their past life is not known as such. I don't remember if there is mention of their past life. But they are all Pandavas, they are eternal associates of the Lord.
Hmm.
Right? And even Draupadi also. So this is clearly mentioned in the Bhagavatam verse itself, that the Pandavas, they went with the self same body. They went back to Godhead in the self same body. With, they didn't have to even change the body because they descended from spiritual world. So they again went back in the same body.
Yeah. Interestingly, they came through the agency of demigods. But
Yeah. That's true. Which is not so surprising. Even Krishna also appears, through different agencies. He is also, in fact, Krishna is also appearing through Shri Rakshai Vishnu in one sense.
Yeah.
So the devotees may also appear through the agency of the demigods, but they are still eternal associates. So, anyways, like this, there are a lot of interesting things about the dham, about the pastimes of the Lord, about the different types of dhams, about the appearances of particular places in the dham. So we will discuss that in detail.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other follow-up question or comment? I mean, should I continue or you would like to stop here and we will continue next time?
Yeah, I won't have much time, probably.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would also prefer to stop here and then we can continue next month. So next Saturday we'll be having our talk show.
Talk show, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me stop live streaming.